Hello, everyone, and welcome to this special episode. I am Tanner Blakely,
Tianna,
Nikki Lopez,
and we are second-year graduate athletic training students here at West Virginia Wesleyan. And we decided to do this episode because athletic training, our profession, is something that not a lot of people know a lot about. So we wanted to shed some light on our profession, a profession that we love. And we're going to discuss it for you guys. Hopefully you hear it. So let's dive right into it. What is athletic training?
Well, an athletic trainer is a highly qualified, multi-skilled healthcare professional who collaborates with physicians to provide preventative services, emergency care, clinical diagnosis, therapeutic intervention, and rehabilitation of injuries and medical conditions. Pretty much we're the first line of defense for the healthcare of our athletes.
Mm-hmm.
We have certain schooling requirements as well. Entry level, we go through 4 years of undergrad to get our bachelor's degree, and then we have to pass a board certification exam. If we pass that, then we are considered athletic trainers, and then we have to go through state certification, registration, licensure. It varies from state to state, but after that, you can legally call yourself an athletic trainer in that state that you work in. So now let's talk about our domains. There are 5 usually. Some people add 6, but I have the first one as injury and illness prevention. And that includes, the main goal of this domain is to make the competition as safe as possible to minimize the risk of injury. It's unique from the other domains because athletic trainers are the front line, like Nikki said, responsible for this duty. We are kind of the only healthcare professionals whose expertise is actually in the prevention of sports injuries. We deal a lot with athletes, but there's also various settings that we can work in, like military, like Cirque du Soleil, industrial settings. We run the gambit as far as where we can work. Let's see, second domain is clinical evaluation and diagnosis. And we have a very unique skill set. We have the diagnosing capabilities of, say, like a PT or any other kind of like osteopathic or orthopedic doctor. But our diagnosis has to go through a physician who we work directly under. We can evaluate injuries under different circumstances, such as pre-participation physicals or exams, on-field acute conditions, in the clinic or athletic training room for acute or chronic injuries, or an ongoing evaluation to track progress of an injury or illness. Athletic trainers use the same skill set to determine the severity of the injury, functional limitations, and differential diagnosis. And then once a diagnosis is made regarding that injury, the athletic trainer is able to establish immediate care and long and short-term goals for that patient. And we're also able to recognize when an injured athlete or patient needs to seek further medical attention, such as x-rays or MRIs or castings or whatever.
Just to, extend on what Tanner was saying, like we go through our training extensively to learn how to diagnose somebody and what a differential diagnosis could be. And like what he said, we would run that through, obviously, a physician, and then we would just take care of them as we see fit or as the physician sees fit in their rehabilitation and treatment after the injury.
Right, and we're experts in musculoskeletal first and foremost, but we have experience and education in general medical, ear, nose, throat, skin conditions, pretty much anything and everything that can happen to an athlete. Mm-hmm. We need to be aware of and educated on.
We very much are a jack of all trades in the medical profession, which sometimes can hinder us. It kind of gives us an identity crisis, like what do we call ourselves? But that's neither here nor there. That's a discussion for another time. The third domain is immediate and emergency care, and this is where athletic trainers, we really take pride in what we do because we advocate all the time that we save lives, and I believe we do. So this domain is a specific skill for immediate and emergency care because they're often on scene when a patient becomes injured or something happens to them, and we are the first person there on the scene. So we have to be able to quickly assess the situation, activate a predetermined emergency action plan without alarming the patient, begin life-saving procedures such as cardiopulmonary resuscitation, use emergency equipment such as an AED, which is an automated external defibrillator, and splints. We also communicate with coaches about what's going on, transport units like EMS if we need to get a helicopter in to life flight someone. We're able to recognize signs and symptoms of life-threatening conditions, and it's the cornerstone of effective management of emergencies. So all athletic trainers need to maintain current certification in first aid, CPR, and AED in order to keep our credentials up to date. And the skill set required in emergency situations includes how to splint fractures, dislocations, how to remove helmets if we need to, if someone has like a cervical spine injury. We also control bleeding, cervical spine stabilization, and spine boarding as well.
I think it's important also to know that every school is different, and it just depends on where you are. So in rural West Virginia, of course, at West Virginia Wesleyan, it's in Upshur County, there's only, 3 ambulances for the whole county?
There's 3 trucks, 2 or 3.
Yeah, so we at West Virginia Wesleyan are trained to do more extensive emergency care. So as athletic trainers at the college, we're trained to, use combi tubes and things like that just to extend our life-saving measures training until the EMS can get to the patient and transport them safely to a hospital. So each area is different. We're all trained in basic life support, but it just might be different depending on where the person is located, like the school. If they're more closer to, a bigger hospital or more inner city place, then they might not be trained in that. But with a longer response time, then the athletic trainer might be trained just a little bit different.
Emergency action plans are a huge part of our responsibility. We are able to design those with almost every sport in consideration. If sports are off-site, then like off campus, like at the high school that I work at, our softball field is back behind the middle school, so we have to accommodate for that. But basically, you just have to keep in mind of where the fences are, if they need to be opened, where the EMS truck can get on the field at, where they can get through people. Crowd management is a big one as well. Sometimes you'll have parents that are freaking out, and you just have to, try to keep them as calm as possible, try to keep everyone as calm as possible, and just, deal with the situation at hand to the best of your ability. The next domain is treatment, rehabilitation, and reconditioning. And athletic trainers were able to assess the status of a patient's situation with a postoperative, acute, or chronic musculoskeletal injury. And we identify functional limitations, therapeutic exercise modality interventions, short and long-term treatment goals. And all of these aspects combine to create the treatment plan, which athletic trainers design, administer, and execute. Treatment plans can vary based on the individual and the injury, and must be modified and updated as the patient progresses through it. This is what the public doesn't see. They see us in khakis on the football field when someone gets hurt, and that's what they do. Like, that's a sliver of what we do. The big stuff is behind closed doors where no one can really see it. And this is something that is huge, especially if you are at a high school or like a rural community that doesn't really have a lot of options as far as rehab facilities. We have a couple here in town, but this is a very key portion of our job.
I think this is the most exciting part too. Just because we get to use our, critical thinking skills, but also our creative skills too. Because not every athletic training room or every clinic is equipped the same way. You could be in high school and not really have a good budget. You could be at a college and have an extensive budget, which means your rehab equipment might vary. So it's challenging, but it's also rewarding because you get to see your athletes go from the injured stage to the return to play stage is what we call it. Also, I know we keep talking about athletes just because that's who we work with, but it's also important to know that in like the industrial setting and things like that, we do this too, but we just change the wording a little bit from return to play to activities of daily living. So if you have somebody working in like a steel mill or in an auto body shop or something like that, then it might be a little bit different, but the rehabilitation is still rehabilitation. Our goal is to still return the person back to what they were doing before at full health.
All right, and there's nothing that compares, honestly, for me, to see my athlete go from being injured, not being able to walk or do a certain thing, and having to go through surgery to being back on the field 100%. There's no better feeling of accomplishment than seeing that.
We take a lot of pride in what we do, and I think that this domain is where we kind of prove our worth, I guess.
Yeah.
We take a lot of pride in what we do, and it's very awesome to see an athlete come in. Maybe you eval'd them on the field, something happened during a game, and then, okay, you know what's wrong, so we know how to fix it. We know the steps to fix it, and then once you fulfill those steps and get them back to play, you take a lot of pride in that. The next domain is organization and administration, and this is kind of the boring part of our job. This is basically the paperwork of our job.
Yeah.
So it's defined as an organization's or professional association's ability to function effectively, cope adequately, to change appropriately, and to grow within. We utilize physical, financial, and human resources to deliver efficient and effective care for our patients. We call it OrganAd for short. It's basically the glue that holds all 6 domains together, and then without certain aspects of OrganAd, such as educated staff, supplies, finances, standards, policies, procedures, none of the other domains can really happen. Mm-hmm. Patients, they rarely know this. They don't really see us doing paperwork unless they walk in on us like in the office or something.
Right.
It's maintenance and records, documenting treatments, injuries, just kind of everything that happened day to day.
Pretty much what you would see in the doctor's office, all those files and stuff. That's what our offices look like. Sometimes it looks like a whirlwind has gone through our office with all the paperwork, just depending on the kind of day that we have.
Yeah, because we don't have our own secretary.
Exactly. So it's important for us to keep records just in case, something happens or if the patient isn't progressing well, we can look back and see what we did and then change our course of treatment just to fit so that they could get better. But definitely this is the glue for all of the domains.
And then there's a 6th domain. I don't know if you guys know about this, but this is on the paper that I'm reading. It's called professional responsibilities, which is basically keeping in good standard with like the BOC, which is our certifying body. We take the BOC exam to become certified, and then we have to do a certain number of continuing education units per year to stay in good standing. And then we also have CEUs possibly for our state.
Depending on where you're at.
Yeah, it just depends.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of it for domains.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Now, let's talk about us a little bit. What got us into athletic training? Whoever wants to start. I can go if you want.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I was a 3-sport athlete my entire life. up until junior year, and then I kind of started to drop sports and then focus on tennis, which is weird because I look like a football player, but I'm not a football player. So in 6th grade, I was playing football. It was a scrimmage, and I got high load. Guy hit me up high, and another came in low because I was the biggest kid on the team, so they wanted to take me out, obviously. And then I felt a pop in my knee, so that didn't feel great. Laid there, and my mom was like, "Yeah, we should probably go get checked out." So we went to the local hospital, and through, let's see, the whole process took like 2 months. At first, they said I had a meniscal tear with possible ligamentous involvement, and then they decided to go in with arthroscopic surgery, and they found a 6 millimeter hairline fracture in my lateral epicondyle of my femur in my left leg. So that was fun. And then even before that, I had ankle problems. I tore my ATF ligament in my ankle twice. So just kind of being in and out of doctors' offices, especially orthopedic doctors, looking at X-rays and MRIs, like it just, I don't know, it just kind of clicked with me. So that's kind of my story.
So mine, I don't want to say it's kind of unique, but I played sports, of course. Volleyball was my thing. I played for about 13 years. Of course, you know, with sports, you're always going to have an injury. I didn't really have anything that was major, ankle sprains here and there, things like that. But I wanted to go to school for pre-med. So I went to school in Cleveland, Ohio. And on my visit, they didn't have a pre-med major. So I would be studying physical therapy, which was okay because I had all my, prerequisite courses for med school. But I was introduced to athletic training that way because they said that would be, a good supplementation. I would get good clinical experience. It would be fun. I would meet, cool people. And that's how I got into the career of athletic training, just because, I like sports. I love the atmosphere, and it stuck with me. So that's how it happened for me.
Yeah, mine is actually a similar story to yours. I wanted to originally do sports psychology because I just thought that was pretty cool, of the mental aspect of trying to overcome adversity and perform goals with a team and all of that. And I was on a Q&A day at my undergrad, and sports psychology was still pretty new when I entered college, so they didn't have a specific program for it. And I was just walking around trying to just feel out what they had, and I stumbled upon the athletic training education program, started talking to them, and just kind of fell in love with it when I was talking to them because I love the medical field. I love the aspect of sports, and I've loved it ever since.
What if you weren't an athletic trainer, what would you be? What would you want to be?
Probably a psychologist.
Yeah, doctor.
Off the wall answer, paleontologist.
Nice.
Really?
Interesting.
Dinosaurs are my jam.
Oh my gosh.
That's pretty cool.
I took a dinosaurs class in undergrad. It was probably the coolest class I've ever taken.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Dinosaurs. I used to be obsessed with volcanoes when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
I used to be a
like,
dinosaur enthusiast when I was
my
younger.
God.
It was mainly Power Rangers. That's what got me into it.
That was pretty cool.
I think my favorite color is blue because of Billy, the
Nice.
blue Power Ranger. And my favorite dinosaur is Triceratops.
There you go.
The more you know. So, next question. What does a normal day look like? I have normal in air quotes because no day is really normal for us.
No.
We have really weird work hours.
Yeah, definitely.
Let's just do like a normal, like, not preseason day. Because like
So, in
when
season?
when August rolls around, we
Don't
don't
even
leave.
talk to us.
We
Yeah.
don't leave.
There is
We're
no
just
sleep.
there.
No sleep, no food. What is that? You might be able to get a
Well,
snack and then
Yeah,
go right back out for practice.
You'll get food, but it'll be McDonald's, and you'll be
Yeah.
shoving it down your face
Yeah.
in between practices.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
A lot of granola bars.
Oh,
Yes, granola
A
bars.
lot
are a savior.
of
Maybe
energy
fruit.
drinks.
maybe
Yes,
fruit.
very much energy drinks.
And a lot of water.
Yep.
Or you will get dehydrated.
Yes.
Right.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I'm at a high school, so the schedule is very different. I have to wait until all the kids are out of school, and then they come to us for treatment or tape or whatever they need. And that's usually around 3:15, 3:30, and then practice starts at 3:30 for a certain group of sports. They usually end around 5:30, and then another group starts at 5:30 and they go till about 7:30. And then if there's games that night, I'm probably at the high school until 9-ish o'clock, give or take, depending on the sport. So at a high school, there's only 2 of us there, so we have to kind of move around and check in on people, stay at one sport for about an hour and then go to another, or we'll kind of walk around campus and just check on everyone, just kind of make the rounds. So, I mean, it's very different from undergrad at a college level,
Yeah.
where you guys can talk about it.
Okay, so I'm at a Division II college, and it's different because the athletes, any of the students on campus, they only have one class a month, and it's Monday through Thursday. So they'll have class from like 9 to noon, and then their whole afternoon is free for competitions, for practices and stuff like that. So in the morning just depends on who has what class. They're either in a classroom or they're online. It just depends on what their advisor has scheduled them. So in the mornings is more rehab, and then we take obviously a lunch because we get hungry.
Athletic training for people too.
Yeah,
Yes.
we're people too. So after lunch, which is like around noon, we'll, start getting ready for practices and things like that. And I want to say I'm spoiled because I feel like I am, because normally on a regular day, I'm out of the athletic training room at like 6:30.
That's
Yeah.
ideal.
Yeah. And on Fridays,
Must be nice.
yeah. And on Fridays, since there's no classes, then practices are earlier. So I get out a little bit earlier, just depending on who I'm covering that day, if there are out of season teams practicing, things like that.
Man, you are spoiled. Well, I'm a part-time athletic trainer at a Division II college, and my schedule's a little, I guess, odd because I'm not a full-time, but we do treatments in the morning, 10 to 12, and we try to schedule those mostly for off-season people or in-season athletes who need multiple treatments during the day. Then in the afternoon, we switch that mainly to in-season athletes, and that's when I show up. So most of my day is in-season rehabilitation, treatment, getting ready for practice, and then I obviously go out to practice, cover the practice. If we are short-staffed, I usually have to help out because we are very short-staffed. We have 4 athletic trainers, 2 part-time and 2 full-time, and we have 21 sports currently. So it's kind of a big, I guess, teamwork that has to happen. But on average, I probably leave the athletic training room about 8 o'clock. During the winter time, it's even worse, though, because all of our sports have to practice inside in one gym, so I would leave about 10 o'clock at night. So that's about my average day. I'm at the whim.
Winter is like, winter into spring especially, is just like the worst. Because you don't know if it's going to be like today. It's beautiful, nice breeze. And then tomorrow,
It's gonna
monsoon. And then Wednesday, it'll
Be the Sahara.
blizzard.
Yeah, sorry.
Like
You're good.
what was that, snow bomb or something?
Yeah, it was
Whatever that
something
was called a couple
crazy.
months ago.
Yeah.
Not a fan. Not a
Yeah,
fan.
no. I guess that's what happens when you live,
Yeah. In West Virginia.
So next question. What would you tell a high school senior who is interested in athletic training?
I'll start off with this one. Definitely do your research, because now we have we're moving from a 4-year entry level degree to a 2-year entry-level degree. So you're beginning your master's. So I think it would be important for them to research, see if the school that they're interested in is still having that program. And if so, they need to jump on it right away because it's not going to stay open for long. I think 2020 is when everybody has to be switched. I could be wrong. It might be 2022, something like that.
Hopefully later.
Yeah.
But definitely do your research. Talk to the program director. Try to get in touch with some of the kids if you can. Be a sponge. This is a time to make mistakes because they're not really, you're not on your own. You're not a certified athletic trainer yet. You'll still be a student. So ask questions. You can make mistakes. That's fine. Learn from them. And have fun. Like, not everybody gets this opportunity to be on the front lines of like a football game or basketball game or volleyball game, things like that, because they're normally in the stands, and you get to see what's going on behind the scenes too with injured athletes and with O&A and stuff like that. So I think it's really important to find what you like, find the place that you like, because it's got to be a good fit. And then just go from there, be a sponge.
Definitely. Yeah. Learning from mistakes is probably the biggest thing that has helped me grow as a certified. Even when I became a certified, I've made so many mistakes, and that's made me such a better clinician. So just ask questions, get your hands dirty.
Well, it's kind of hard now with the new Katie kind of, I don't want to call them limitations, but
Yeah,
I mean, when I was a freshman, I was doing more than ice bags.
absolutely.
But that's because I went to a smaller Division III school where we could kind of do more. I would say make sure you know what athletic training is first. We had a lot of students come in my freshman year and thought it was like personal training, and they quickly dropped like flies.
Yeah. It's not what this is.
It's make sure, mind your P's and Q's, get your work done, be on time.
Yeah.
Like Ty said, take advantage of things. I remember going to every home football game and working at that I could because I loved it. You're going to have to sacrifice some personal time because your schedule is going to be weird. You more than likely will work weekends. So make sure that family and friends know that sometimes you won't be available on the weekends. There's just another thing I was thinking of, what would you go back and tell yourself before jumping into athletic training? I was thinking today on the car ride over here, probably study more than I did. I mean, not saying I'm like a slacker. I mean, I am. I feel like I could have studied more. Probably special tests more.
Yeah. I probably would have told myself to get my hands dirty more.
Yeah.
Ask more questions.
Yeah.
Because you can never ask enough questions.
Probably just kind of, I don't know, follow the certifieds more. You know what I mean? Because the way, our program was set up back at my undergrad, we had, I don't want to say a mom and a dad, but that's pretty much what it was. We had an upperclassman who was a female, upperclassman who was a male. They kind of, took us under their wing, and we would go to them and ask questions and stuff like that. But I feel they had some of the answers, but a certified would have had more answers and a better way to answer it because they had already went through that. They're not in school anymore. They're experiencing what I was going to be. So I probably would have followed them a lot more. And I kind of learned that as, I got older and higher up in the program. But definitely as a freshman, follow them around more.
Yeah, and definitely try to not just choose one certified.
Yeah.
Take from each person you'll ever meet in the profession because everyone has something to offer. Techniques I use is a mixture from 3 different clinicians I've seen and talked to and worked under. My taping technique I've gotten from multiple people. my approach to rehabs come from multiple PTs, some athletic trainers. It's just, you have to value everyone's diversity and everyone's own experiences and takes on how to take care of athletes.
Yeah.
Well, that's all the questions that I have, unless you guys have some other ones that popped into your head.
No, I think we covered it pretty good.
Okay.
If you guys do have any more questions or are interested in the profession, you guys can go to our national website at nata.org. And then it'll just, give you more insight, obviously show you pictures of cool things. There's so many places that we can work at, and it's not just in the high school or college setting. Like,
Right.
it's just so much information out there. But it's important to know that we take care of people too. We're not just people who carry around water and Gatorade towels. Like, no.
I don't even do that anymore. I refuse.
Sometimes our job puts us in kind of sticky situations where we have to protect the athlete from themselves,
Definitely.
as well as their coaches maybe. I haven't had that problem, thankfully.
Oh my gosh. I'm doing it now.
Sometimes their own parents. But, we have to do what's best for our athletes and patients. So
Yeah.
we have their best interests in mind, constantly. So if it ever seemed like that, if you ever have an athletic trainer and they're telling you not to play, it's because they have your best interests in mind.
Right.
So if that's everything.
I think we covered everything.
Yeah. Well, this was fun.
It was.
Thank you guys for tuning in, for listening. If you have any questions, leave some comments. I'm going to post this everywhere because I want the views.
Nice.
YouTube famous.
Yeah, that's a life goal. I want to be internet famous. So for myself, Tanner Blakely,
Tianna Cobb.
And Nikki Lopez.
thank you all for listening.
Thank you.